friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And I'm here today to talk about why I prefer the heat plate for my chicks over the heat lamp that you typically use. And I'll let you know, first of all, that when I first started with our very first chicks, which was 7 years ago with the 7 Buff Orpington chicks that we got. We had already been planning on getting chicks, but we went down to the nursery and realized, oh, they have chicks. So we bought everything we needed right then and there, and except for the feeder. Patrick made a feeder. And he did a video on that, which has been a pretty popular video. I didn't feel like buying the feeders they'd had down there. So we came up with our own setup, and he created one out of cardboard, and it worked great until they were old enough to move on to something bigger. But at any rate, so yeah, I use the standard heat lamp with the chicks. And I always keep, when I get chicks, or now we raise our own from our own eggs, I do them in this room here. Now, this isn't our living room. This is my old dance/martial arts studio that has been converted to an everything else room. It's our entertainment room. It's a family room. It's a dining room when we have quite a few guests over. It's a game room and so much more. And it's a video shooting room. But at any rate, we have a ping pong table over here that doesn't get used that much. And so it's a perfect place for me to set up the brooder and keep the chicks in here so I can better just keep an eye on them and so on. As far as the brooder, we just made one out of cardboard again this time around. Last time I used a dog crate with bird netting around it to keep the chicks in. That was kind of a pain. But this little brooder we built out of cardboard and plywood has worked really well. And you can see a little clip of it here. When we put the plexiglass in there. I'd like to do something bigger. I didn't want anything real permanent this year. I would like Patrick to make something more permanent, but I'm hoping for something that we could maybe tear down, and I want it to be a little bigger. But the plexiglass idea was great. Loved having the plexiglass. So anyway, I was going to go with just the heat lamp since I already had it. But then I've been seeing these things online. I didn't really understand what they were when I was looking for some other things, looking at different brooders. And I thought, well, I already have the heat lamp. But then I realized I couldn't find the right light that went with it. And I don't know what happened to the original. And it could have burnt out years ago for all I know. And it's like, no, I'm not going to run down and I'm not going to get another one of those lights. I'm going to look again at these plates. Well, here's why I decided this was the best thing. And if we decide to do more and more chicks, I'll probably get a second one as well. But here's the great thing about these plates that I like so much better than the lamps themselves, is that they don't put off any light other than the little power light right here at the top. So that means at night, the chicks will sleep all through the night. Now, when we've had the chicks in here before and you always have that light on, I don't know if the red lights are different. I didn't have a red light. I had the standard white light, and I see the red ones. It might be different with those. Maybe they're more apt to sleep through the night. But I know with the white light, they'd be up and down all night long, because they've got light. So they'd drop and they'd sleep for a little bit and they'd get up and peep, 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 peep. And they're just so noisy. But with the heat plate, they will all in the evening, just like chickens do, they know it's time to sleep. And so they all will huddle under this plate together and they will sleep through the whole night and not make a sound, not make a peep. And so I believe that is better for them because it already is getting them into that natural rhythm that they will have. And it makes it a lot quieter, especially if you're keeping your chicks in the house. Plus, you have less risk of fire hazard as you would with the heat lamp, because if it falls and it gets into the sawdust or straw, whatever it is you have in there, it can start a fire. And that would be a real shame. Not saying there isn't absolutely 100% chance of never having a fire with this, but it definitely does reduce your chances. So the heat is radiated from this side here. And I forgot to bring the other piece in. So anyway, I had washed this off, so I had it in the other room dry, and it's still a little bit wet. But this piece goes over the top like so, and what that does is that helps protect this from the chicks, because when they get big enough, they'll start hopping on top of here, and they'll poop on it and whatnot. So far, only one had pooped on it, but they're actually out of the brooder now. They're out in their coop in their own little fenced-in area so that they can, you know, I'm integrating them in with the other chickens, and they were starting to get too big for our little brooder here. So this is a nice feature, having this acrylic piece on top that you can just take off and wash. And then the legs, you'll see that I have it so it's tilted. So I put this part towards the back of the box, the shorter part. So the smaller chicks, the youngest ones, would clump together back in here, and then the older ones would cuddle around them, and then I'd lift this up higher. And so what I did, I actually had the shorter, especially in the back when my newest chicks were hatched out, because you want it lower down to them when they're first hatched. And then you just raise it a little bit each, like once a week, I would raise it up about an inch as they got bigger. And then the last night before I moved them out into the coop, I just unplugged the heat plate altogether. They still slept on it, under it, but I wanted to see how well they did through the night without any heat at all, because chicks will huddle together. Technically, they really don't need the added heat, because they will, if you have enough of them, they'll huddle together and keep each other warm that way. But because I really wasn't certain about, you know, how many chicks I was going to have, I wanted to make sure there was a, you know, they would all be able to stay warm. And so getting the heat plate, I think, was a wise choice. And I'm really happy with this. And it has these little tabs here. You just press these in when you're adjusting the legs, and then they'll lock into place. So to me, it's just a better option all the way around. And now that they're out in the coop, they don't have any added heat, but they just huddle together and keep each other warm, and they're doing just fine out there. Because I wasn't going to bother moving this out to the big coop, because then I'd have to run an extension cord across the yard and over to the closest power outlet, and I wasn't going to mess around with that. So anyway, I recommend it. Now, there's all kinds of different brands out there. I just was looking for one. I decided the 10 by 10 inch was a good size to start with. I can link to this one down below, but you can do some looking around. They do make them bigger than this. I know there's a 12 by 12. I don't know if they make one even bigger than that or not. I am not sure. So anyway, that's my quick update on that and why I prefer this. And I'll probably never go back to a heat lamp because of how well this worked and allowing them to sleep all the way through the night, unlike the way a light works. Now, if anyone does use the red lamp, I would be curious to know, do they actually sleep through the night with a red lamp? I would imagine they'd probably be more apt to do that with the red, but I still prefer the heat plate over the lamp. Oh, here was the other thing I was going to say, is sometimes finding the right place to hang the heat lamp can be really frustrating. And that was the other issue I was having with the heat lamp with the box, is the only good place to clip it is kind of with a clip, was at the top of the box, but there was no way I could get the lamp down close enough for the youngest chicks where it'd keep them warm. So that was kind of my issue there. And I just didn't want to jerry rig something together to try to hook it on there. I felt it was much safer to just go with this. So anyway, there's my ideas. So share your thoughts in the comments down below. And I'll be doing more of these videos as just to kind of share my own experience, especially with this year being the first year we've hatched them out from our own eggs, which was a lot of fun. I'm definitely going to be doing that again. And very cool. It's a very exciting process. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, learned that you got a few tips out of there, just some things to think about. And thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.